Monday, November 13th. Finland considers the negotiations with the Soviet Union over border territories to be concluded. Stalin, irritated by the Finnish attitude, orders Stavka, the Armed Forces General Staff, to prepare a plan of invasion of Finland. At the same time, the Soviet Secret Service organized Finnish communists inside and outside the country in preparation to form a pro-communist government. Belgium and Holland placed the bulk of their armies on the frontiers with Germany. In Britain, General Henry Crerar sets up the headquarters of Canadian troops in Europe in London. Although it has little support among the public, the British government decides to resume its campaign of dropping anti-Nazi leaflets on large German cities. The Nazi leader is worried about the lack of enthusiasm for a new war against the Western countries among the officers and soldiers of the Wehrmacht. The memories of the Great War and the lack of any just cause for starting the conflict makes the majority reluctant to begin operations. In the Sea War, the Royal Navy loses the destroyer Blanche when it collides with a mine laid by German submarines in the Thames estuary, and the French merchantman Loire is torpedoed and sunk by U-26, commanded by Klaus Everth. Tuesday, November 14th. With a view to gaining maximum support from the high command and officers of the Wehrmacht, the Nazi Party, on the Führer's insistence, sets up a series of conferences in Berlin in which Goebbels, Göring, and Hitler himself participate. Generals, admirals, officers, and Nazi supporters pack the auditorium to hear Goebbels speak.
Macht zu besitzen, die auf Gewehren ruht.
Wir haben ein deutsches Theater, einen deutschen Film, eine deutsche Presse, ein deutsches Schrifttum, eine deutsche bildende Kunst.
Considered by some to be the regime's most intelligent leader, the propaganda minister claims that the high command of the Luftwaffe, led by Göring, and the admirals of the Kriegmarine unconditionally support the government's policies, but he questions the loyalty and Nazi credentials of the army generals. His criticisms are considered offensive by the majority of those present, and the event ends amid grumbling. The British mine layer Adventure collides with a magnetic mine in the Thames estuary and suffers serious damages. 10 crew members are killed. Churchill calls for an investigation by the Royal Navy.
The total and final extirpation of the...
Wednesday, November 15th. The British government threatens to boycott neutral countries that sell goods to the Third Reich. The Royal Navy forces merchant ships heading for Germany to dock at ports in Britain to have their cargoes inspected. Most goods destined for the enemy are considered contraband and requisitioned. Hitler discusses his plans for war in the West with Rommel. Upon leaving the meeting, Rommel tells his adjutant he is grateful to have the opportunity to witness such an important event. With imports to the Third Reich declining, Hitler demands a more effective counter-blockade on the part of the ships and submarines of the Kriegsmarine. Dönitz again calls for more submarines. The German pocket battleship Graf Spee sinks the British tanker Africa Shell off the coast of Madagascar in the Indian Ocean. German Foreign Minister von Ribbentrop proclaims Germany to be a peaceful country and rejects the offer of mediation by the sovereigns of Belgium and Holland. In Lodz, Poland, a group of SS set fire to the main synagogue. Thursday, November 16th. In Warsaw, there is no let-up in the terror. SS battalions charged with ethnic cleansing consult lists announcing the number of Poles to be executed each day. In the city of Lublin, in the southeast of the country, where police and SS chief Odilo Globocnik has established his new headquarters, all the books of the Talmudica Academy, the most important Jewish academy in Poland, are burned. All day, the flames consume one of the great European libraries, watched by hundreds of local Jews who shed bitter tears. Following the collapse of negotiations, the Soviet and Finnish governments transfer thousands of troops to their common frontier. Finland is forced to defend its liberty against the authoritarian Russian colossus. Britain and the USA fear the Soviets will occupy the country more quickly than the Germans conquered Poland. In Prague, Czech students attempt a rising against the forces of the Third Reich. Konstantin von Neurath, Reich protector of Bohemia-Moravia, declares martial law. U-43, commanded by Wilhelm Ambrosius, sinks the British cargo ship Arlington Court. Friday, November 17th. Groups of Jews expelled from the town of Sierpich, situated to the northwest of Warsaw, arrive in the city. They are the first to appear with pieces of yellow cloth sewn on the lapels of their tattered coats and jackets with the word Jew. In Paris, the Allied Supreme Council meets and approves the French Dial Plan, or Plan D. In the event of a German attack, the bulk of the French and British troops are to be positioned from Calais to the Maginot Line. The Allied High Command is convinced that the forces of the Third Reich will try to reach Paris from the north, as they did in the First World War. They are sure it will not occur to them to cross the forest of the Ardennes. Czechs once more show their opposition to German occupation, this time at the funeral of Jan Appeltal, a student killed by Nazi troops. Reich protector Konstantin von Neurath uses the SS to brutally repress the protesters, occupying the universities and arresting 1,200 students. All are sent to the concentration camp of Sachsenhausen, and 9 are executed. This day will be remembered by the Czech people. U-28, commanded by Gunther Kuhnke, sinks the merchant ship Slidret, and U-57, captained by Klaus Korth, sinks the Kaunas. Saturday, November 18th. Eric Raeder, Grand Admiral of the Kriegsmarine, is convinced he has the definitive weapon that will give the advantage in the naval war to Germany. It is the Mk1 GA magnetic mine, which explodes due to the magnetism of a ship's iron hull. All day, Luftwaffe planes take to the skies, hundreds of them flying over British coastal waters, while at the same time, small Type II submarines position themselves in the areas of the heaviest merchant traffic. Among the most skilled of the German U-boat commanders are Otto Kretschmer, nicknamed the Rat by his comrades for his ability to slip through British defensive barriers, Julius Lemp and Joachim Schepke.
And in fidelity.
Churchill informs the War Cabinet that Hitler has a new secret weapon, which is causing havoc among merchant shipping sailing for Britain, occasioning heavy losses of life and costing millions. Royal Navy experts work round the clock to try to find a way of combating the destructive power of the mines. U-18, commanded by Max Hermann Bauer, sinks the British transport ship Park Hill, and the Carica Milica goes down when it hits a mine placed by Wilhelm Müller's U-19.